Welcome. In this demonstration, we will look at the different choices for pen that you have, when you're doing drawing with pen and ink. So essentially, I really won't go into detail because there's a lot of, varieties of different types of pens that you can use for drawing and depending on your, the style that you're attempting and things like that. But what I really want to do over here is to just cover some of the basic, types of pen that are available, that are easily available, that you can, use to, start drawing pen and ink today. So as you might have seen, I really like to use fountain pens. So essentially in all my demonstrations, I use fountain pen. And to me, they are a great way to essentially, just have, the joy of putting down a line. So a good fountain pen, that it has that kind of, feel that really, I just love the feel that I get, when I put a good pen to paper. So that's what I would start with, a fountain pen. And the good thing with them is that once you buy a good pen and a supply of ink, they will go on for a long time. So essentially, you don't really have to keep buying new. When they run out of ink, you can simply put new additional ink and keep on going. So this is a great way to start. And this pen, this is a bit expensive pen. So one of the great entry level pens that I recommend is Pilot Metropolitan pen. So this is a Pilot Metropolitan pen with a fine nib. And I just love Japanese pens because I just find that their lines are very fine. So as you can see, this is a fine nib and I can really put down fine lines. So I just like, Pilot, the Pilot brand. And what I really like is this Metropolitan pen. So this sells for under $20 in North America, and it has a very classic feel, as you can see, and it's just a really great, fine pen. So this is something that, that you can look into. So this is, again, this is Pilot Metropolitan fountain pen. So essentially this is a great starter pen, and this comes for under $20, and this just puts down very fine lines. So I would recommend either go with the fine nib or you go with a medium nib. So essentially the lines for Japanese pens are very fine. So essentially the fine line is very fine, as you can see here. And in many Europeans and North American pens, you will actually find that this is extra fine. So the fine for Japanese tends to be extra fine for other brands, but I just like this fine line. As you can see in my demonstrations, I really like to use different line textures and things like that. So being able to put down this kind of fine line is something that I really like. So I would recommend that you go for a fine Pilot Metropolitan fountain pen as your starter pen if you want to start with the fountain pen. And they all come with a cartridge. So essentially you have the choice of buying, they come with a cartridge like this, so you can actually just buy the cartridge, and then what you can do is simply insert this over here when you open it over here, right? So this is a kind of refilling mechanism, but instead of this, you can just use a cartridge and put it inside, and this way you have an easy way to refill your pen. So you can just buy these cartridges and then use them, or if you want, you can buy a converter that will let you use any kind of outside ink. Then you can buy a bottle of ink. So for ink, I would recommend Noodlers or many other these companies, and essentially they have very fine ink that you can use to use a fountain pen. So this is one of the very nice starter fountain pen that I would recommend. The second choice that I really like is essentially the gel pens. So essentially a gel pen is a kind of so this is a kind of a gel pen. So this is a Pilot pen. Again, a gel pen, essentially the gel ink is an ink that is much superior to the ink that you would normally find in the normal normal ballpoint pens. So the mechanism these pens have is the same, which is a kind of a roller ball at the very tip, and when you roll this pen, then that ball rolls and it releases the ink. But what is happening is that these pens, they have gel inks, and these gel inks are much more black, and they give a much nicer appearance than the normal ballpoint pen. So this is another gel pen, and as you can see, what happens is that these are very fine gel pens that I'm using. So what I would also recommend is that if you want, start with a gel pen, and again, these are from Pilot, but any good gel pen from many different companies are a great way to start. So again, as you can see, they put down very fine lines. So this is a very fine gel pen, and one of the great gel pens that I like is actually this one. So this is a Uniball Signo from from Uniball, which is actually made by Mitsubishi. So these are a great starter pen. So essentially, Uniball Signo and 0.38 mm. So that's the width of the line. So 0.38 Uniball Signo gel pen is a great starter pen, and I just like the line that it puts down. So again, as you can see, it is a very fairly black line, fairly, and more than that, it is consistent. So what is very frustrating in your drawing is that if you're using a pen and suddenly the line breaks, for example, so that is very frustrating. But as you can see, this gel pen, Uniball Signo, has a very fine and very consistent black line that I really like. So this actually is a very low cost entry point for you to start drawing with pen and ink. So this pen, it costs under $3, and it essentially lasts a long time. As you can see, this is the ink supply, and this it's a quite sufficient ink supply, and this will last you for quite a long time. So I would recommend you go for this pen. So again, it's Uniball, and it's 151 so this is 0.38 mm. So this is a great pen, gel pen that you can use as a starter pen to start drawing with pen and ink. So again, the fountain pen, the nib, it gives you a different feel. It gives you a bit more feedback compared to the roller ball in these gel pens. But again, like I said, if you have access to these gel pens, they are a great way to start drawing with pen and ink as well. And actually, I personally use these gel pens when I'm traveling or when I'm outside, because they're much easier to carry than the fountain pen, and they don't really have the have the option of leaking ink or any such accident happening. So these are a great pens to essentially carry with you and just be able to quickly draw anytime you have any few minutes. So this kind of gel pens are a great way to kind of get started. And the good thing with the gel ink is that it is rich black, and these pens they don't break. So with an ordinary ballpoint, what you would find is that when you're drawing, the line will break, and something like this, which can be quite frustrating, especially if you're drawing a parallel line. Something break, it takes away the kind of tone that you're trying to put down. So with these gel pens, they're designed with the appropriate gel ink that really gives a smooth performance. So I like this kind of Uniball gel pen and the other gel pens from Pilot, something like this. But yeah, any good gel pen from a lot of different companies, they will provide a good performance as well. And the last thing that I would recommend, if you are into it, is these felt tip pens. So this is a very popular Pigma Micron from Sakura, and essentially what they have is a felt tip. So they don't have a roller ball, but a different a different felt tip over here. So this is a different kind of tip, and what this does it gives a different feel when you're drawing. And these pens are again very popular. So again, this is Pigma Micron, and this is a felt tip pen. So this is a different kind of nib, but the end result is very similar to what you will get from a gel pen. So as you can see, when I put down the line, the end result is very similar to the gel pen. The drawback that I find with these felt tip pens is that you don't really have any indication of the ink supply, because that's again behind this. So these are all disposable pens, but the good thing with the gel pen is that you have an indication of the ink supply, so you can actually monitor, and you can actually use it till the very last drop of ink in this pen. Whereas in this felt tip Pigma Microns, I usually find that as they start to run out of ink, the line becomes broken and the line becomes lighter, and that is something I don't like essentially with these felt tip pens. So in the beginning they are fine, but as the ink starts to run out, and again you don't really have any indication of the ink supply in these felt tip pens. So essentially I have given up these Pigma Microns in favor of these kind of gel pens. So bottom line, I would recommend you either start with a gel pen or a fountain pen, something like this, a Pilot Metropolitan fountain pen. But again, if you are really looking just to experiment with pen and ink drawing and see if that is something that you really like and want to pick up, then I would recommend that you just simply go with a gel pen. So again, get a good gel pen. It can be either a Uniball Signo, and they come in different widths, but 0.38, which is around 0.4 mm. So 0.4 mm is a good width of line to start with. So again, you can get these gel pens, and these are a great way to start getting a good line that you can use for your pen and ink attempt. So that's something that I would absolutely recommend. In terms of paper, I mean, any paper really will do. So essentially, the good thing with the pen and ink is that you don't really need any special paper, to draw on. But what I would again recommend is to have, something like this. So that's the kind of, diary that or a sketchbook that I keep. So this is again, 3 by 5 inch, 3.5 by 5 inch to be precise. And what this really lets me do is essentially, I can easily carry this with me anytime. And anytime you have, any kind of, time, just open it and just put down some, quick lines and just, practice, doing different things. So I really like, having a sketchbook, something like this. And then again, they come in many different sizes. But having it, this is another, diary that I keep, so something like this. So again, having a kind of, small sketchbook like this with a gel pen. So this is all you need, essentially to be able to start, drawing with in pen and ink. So essentially, watch my demonstrations, carry a good gel pen or a good fountain pen if you're so inclined. But just having a good gel pen and a small sketchbook like this is something that's all you need to be able to start looking at my demonstrations and using the techniques discussed in there to to start doing your own pen and ink drawings. Have fun. Take care. Thanks. Bye bye.